A while ago, I reviewed this incredible The Clay Studio T-Rex. At the time, I made reference to the Blue Rhino T-Rex, a very fleshy statue that seems to have inspired many reconstructions, even the prehistoric planet one. Unfortunately, the closest I ever got to seeing it was this Killershrewfan video, which at least allowed me to enjoy it vicariously. It was the closest I ever got to a Blue Rhino until I visited Prague last year. The Dinosauria Museum Prague is a world-class museum for any lover of dinosaurs. Among its highlights are a Diplodocus fossil that's 92% complete, which, being in a private museum, you'll sadly never get to see in papers. Or just look at that skull. They also have a number of beautiful Blue Rhino statues. But the main draw for many of us, even someone uninterested in theropods like me, has to be their incredible Karl the T-Rex. I've actually wanted to share this much sooner, but as you know, PNSO gave us a torturous, unrelenting wave of Tyrannosaurs, and I felt that putting one more up would get me lynched. Now that sufficient time has passed, I feel safe to go back to the Tyrannosaurid water again. The first thing that strikes me is the immense size of it. Even from a distance off, size is something I couldn't help noticing. Karl the T-Rex is 1:1 scale, definitely not something I could have at home even if I could afford it. Now nothing quite prepares you for the mind-boggling size of a T-Rex in the flesh. I've seen T-Rex skeletal mounts before, but when it's all fleshed out, it's a different story. Now you can look at two-dimensional representations like this all you like, but until you see one in three-dimensional volume, you cannot imagine how huge this is. Now just a very quick overview. The pose is very dynamic, more than you can expect from most models without the use of a base or a stand. Now as for the color, nothing fancy here, but there are faint stripes that don't stand out obviously. The colors blend very nicely and look like real pigmentation. In fact, this kind of color palette you might expect from PNSO, so maybe the artists agree on what looks real. Now a bit more detail starting at the head, and what a head! Karl is highly detailed, and it's really hard to know where to even start. If you're a fan of this Spinosaurus facial reconstruction, it will be sheer delight to see here the different kinds of facial integument up close. The most obvious are the large labial scales, interlocking pleasingly as we're used to seeing in the PNSO. And moving caudally, you'll see all kinds of tissue textures, like the conified nasal tissue, keratinous lacrimal ridges, and even a bossy touch in the jugal. The scales surrounding the nostrils and the eyes are very natural and add so much regional variety. The open mouth holds those dangerous teeth. Now this is as close to face-to-face meeting with a full-size T-Rex you'll get to and still live to tell the tale. Inside, you'll see detail you'll never see in a smaller model. You see the palatal ridges, and then also the papillae. Such real detail as you'd see in a hippo, for example. The throat here, and then the tongue. More teeth with stains, and the dripping maw is very nicely, though sickly, depicted here. Up close now, again all those papillae, and also the tooth and gum detail. The teeth all have individual stains, detailed in complex colors, some probably in danger of rot. And moving down, you see the tiny hands, and then the torso, where you can really admire the skin integument, and all the scale clusters. The spots of pigment. And the little cracks are so incredibly lifelike. I'm especially bowled over by the detail in the legs, and I'm a fan of the tarsel's cute look. And the feet. They splay out with the weight of the animal. Toe claws are so lifelike in colour and texture. And those powerful thighs are enough to make me forget my fantasies of outdancing a T-Rex with fancy footwork. All the ducking, dodging and weaving won't do a bit of difference given the power of those legs. In real life, I'd probably be paralyzed with fear anyway. And speaking of hopelessness and power, the thickness of the tail. One swipe, given the mass and momentum, is likely to take your head off, killing you instantly. What an amazing experience of an amazing statue! If you ever visit Prague, this is a museum you have to see, even if it's just to look at all the Blue Rhino statues. I'll put a link to Killershrewfan's video below, so check that out too. You missed your 12 days of Christmas last year, so hopefully you'll give us one this year. So that's it. Let me know what you guys think, especially if you've seen a Blue Rhino before. It's really an experience you should have at least once in your life. I'll see you in the next video.